Hey everyone, I want to talk about what it felt like to have very, very severe body dysmorphia and why my body dysmorphia was way before my sensory motor. More than likely the genesis, not that you have to look at this stuff, but it probably started when I was around 16 or 17 years old when I talk about that story when the movie 300 came out, and then my buddy who I used to hang out with, I go to his house, smoke a lot of marijuana, and we both were like this big, we made Momin look jacked. That's saying something. We made Momin look jacked. By the way, Momin's going to do a great exposure for the groups, and he's going to do a shirtless photo because that's not a cultural norm there. And so I told him that he has to do that because if I got to do the exposures of not going to the fucking gym for 3 weeks twice, then Momin can take his damn shirt off and show his bird chest for all the people in the groups. All right? That's what I want to hear. So, but I want to talk about my experience with severe body dysmorphia and what that felt like when I was really latched. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about it. And I think it's important to start off with something very, very simple, okay? Let's look at it like this. This, like doing this, like showing this would have never, ever happened, ever. There's no way I was taking my shirt off, showing myself. There's no way I'm going from the side. None of that is happening. There's just no way that was a possibility years ago. I was too scared to do that. Petrified. You know what's interesting? My wife used to say to me before we were even engaged, I always wonder why you would walk around the house like in underwear or naked, like below in my house, but always had a shirt on. She said, I thought it was so weird because men usually do the opposite. They walk around their house shirtless and, living in Florida, none of my friends had shirts on ever, but they were wearing clothes on the bottom, like they'd be in shorts. I was the opposite, which I knew why. Come on, I knew why. I did not like the way I looked, regardless of how I looked. It did not matter. I hated the way I looked. I was always nervous about looking a certain way. It was petrifying. I always thought I was fat. No matter what clothing I was in, I was always hyper aware about how shirts fit. I was always hyper aware about how my waist felt. And I had hyper awareness of my stomach and belt line for years when my OCD became chronic. It wasn't just my saliva, swallowing, blinking, breathing, thumbs I've talked about. Belt line was there consistently with DPDR, like depersonalization and derealization and belt line hyper awareness were my baseline state. I was like, I didn't just see you. I went to my belt line and then I saw you. That was just always in the background, like a storm, like a drizzle that was just happening all the time. While other sensations took the forefront, but that was always there. I mean, it was like, if you're in the upside down from Stranger Things, you're in the upside down. That storm that's happening was my belt and my DPDR, constantly there for years. And, I had so many different things that I would do. So if I went to the beach, for an example, first of all, I wouldn't go to the beach. I lied every which way to not go into a public place. If I went to the pool, one of the things I would do, this is such an interesting thing. When you go into a cold water or a water area and you're always, you now like if you come out of an ice bath, like your muscles just look more toned because of the water. So I would stand in the pool and I would always be like putting water on me and doing stuff like this and like always doing that. And I never actually thought to myself, why am I doing that? I just knew I was fucking weird. And not like your totality of weird. You have weird behaviors. So we'll go into the hot tub and I would just put the water on all the time. If I felt like my muscles started to sag in my mind, I'd put that back on again. I would do that for hours. Hours, the pool party. Or I'd have to be in the water to here. So constantly underwater so no one could see that. That was a really big one I did too. I didn't wear underwear for 10 years because I was so hyper-focused and afraid on how underwear would make me feel. And all my pictures were like, certain ways. Like, let me see if I can pull one up. I'll pull a couple up right now. Like, I always took the same. You can always tell when someone has not the best image of themselves by how their photos look. So let me see if I can go to my Instagram or my Facebook here. And I'll just go back to see profile picture and I could just go back and see some of these. I mean, you could just tell by the way I looked, when here's a great example right here. Okay. So me My friend, anyone recognize who that is? That's Don Mazzetti. He was a really good friend of mine. But look at how my duck face is, right? Look at how that is. So that was a big one for sure. Let's see what else. I mean, just like you could see just like the conditional acceptance and that type of a thing right there. Oh, here's a big one, right? So like, okay, if you look at this photo right here, I obviously was much leaner there than I am now. So this photo, by the way, this was Avicii in 2011. He played at my homecoming at University of Central Florida. R.I.P. Avicii, one of the most influential people in electronic music. The amount of people who are DJs today because of Avicii. But like, you look at this and like the angle, and you're like, oh my God, and it just looks so cool in your mind. But that actually is miserable because this is not happy. And not that you're chasing happy, but you're always looking for my comments. One of my such wonderful boys is what my sister wrote. Son of a bitch. Like, just like this too, right? Like, look at, just like I always have to do that. It just, oh, here's a good one. Like, here's another good one too. I mean, look at everyone smiling, having a good time, not me. Like that. I think there's one more that I got. Like, look at, just like I always had to be doing, look at this, another one. I mean, it's just like, it's constant. It's constant. And then there's Lola, R.I.P. Lola. She died last year at almost 17. Very, very, very sad. Love Lola. So that just goes to show you how it felt in my mind from a picture perspective. And all I thought about was looking good, getting girls, and having an influence over other people by the way my body looked. The problem was that actually didn't do me any good, and all it did was keep me stuck in my head of, like, if I woke up, my immediate thought would be, what am I going to work out the gym? Am I too close to, if you're a gym bro and you know the terms RPE and RAR, if you're using those terms in the gym, it might be time to drop them for a little bit. Now, I know what I'm going to work out. I have an exercise routine that I do, upper, lower, off, push, pull, legs off, and then I do hit cardio, and then I hike and play pickleball and do a bunch of stuff. But I don't track any of my reps anymore. I have notepads this big with any of that. That is all compulsive for most people, OCD or not. Programming in of itself is a very slippery slope. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with programming in the gym per se. You can't just say that is bad for you, just like you can't say everyone doesn't need to ever program. You just need to be aware of who you are. What do I know about myself? I have a highly addictive personality. There are things, if I do them a lot. Rob made a voice note for the groups this morning talking about cigar smoking, very much in tune with what I used to do. If I go 1 time a week, I'm going 4 times a week, okay? Self-control goes like this. Almost in my coffee, just not going to happen, right? More than likely part of my personality, my genetics, and everything I've been raised by, and, abusing things in my life like video games, pornography, hard drugs at times, etc., alcohol binges, everything, women, abusing school. Studying for 15 hours straight, going crazy with that. It's not just, it's everything, right? It's like when someone says, there's no such thing as an unhealthy compulsion. There is such thing as a healthy compulsion. What? No, there's not. Humans can be compulsive, but to say that there's a healthy compulsion, I don't know if that's the case, because that's a wild statement. Because then you can use that to justify anything, right? That's a problem in and of itself, and that's for another conversation. So we wake up and have a mental map of how my day was going to go. This is what I'm going to look like. This is how I'm going to dress. This is why I'm going to dress that way. This is how that's going to operate. And then the clothes I'm going to wear, the no underwear, like I said. I only started wearing underwear when I met Rob. Like, I literally did not wear underwear from 20 to 30 years old. Ever. Never. Didn't do it. All my photos were taken multiple times. So I was playing an Rubik's Cube, the biggest Rubik's Cube, with 9 and 9 on each side. Mine was like 50 and 50, like just constantly thinking about all the things I'd have to avoid. If I went to the beach or a pool, besides the water splashing, I was constantly thinking about what other people were going to say about me, constantly talking about my body. And then someone says to you, wow, man, you look great. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I feel like a fat piece of shit. And And then the fitness industry is really, really, really bad at this because they teach us that there's good and bad people based on your ability to go to the gym. You hear David Goggins talk about this a lot. I've read one of David Goggins' book, and I used to listen to him a lot. I can still listen to him for motivation if I'm lifting a heavy weight, but there's a lot of things I don't agree with. The conditional self-acceptance by Goggins is horrible. Me and Rob say, I wouldn't want to live in David Goggins' head. No way. He might be like, you're non-successful, and that's fine, man. You got to live in that mental headspace. And that, like, if you don't go to the gym, you weak, you a bitch. You a bitch, bro. It's like, no, man, you need a hug because you put so much of your self-worth on that. And again, this is not, David Goggins has done great things for motivation. He's achieved so many things, way more than I probably ever will in an accolade perspective, but that doesn't mean anything to me anymore because I don't need to achieve those things to be happy with myself. I strive for things, my business, my career, and everything, but I don't need those things anymore. So where else would it really affect me? I mean, I cannot tell you. Do you know how many times I have slept with women? And I've like gone into the sink and like put water on my body to get that like chiseled look before I went back into the bedroom? That is incredibly sad. And then food macros, forget it. Looking at calories and macronutrients was, it was if the president sat me down and the president was like, Mr. Piniella, I need to know how to hack this country. And then I'm like, let me show you. Okay, well, through 238 macros here, carbs and proteins and alcohol, sugars, blah, blah, blah. It was nuts. It is nuts. Now I just eat when I'm hungry and I eat food and I enjoy cookies and I balance my nutrition and I go from there. Anything more than that tends to become super, super, super unhealthy for me and most people. I want to be able to, if Erica's like, let's go out and get some chicken. Let's go out. There's a place called Raising Cane's Fried Chicken. They have the best sauce. It's like almost Thousand Island dressing or something like that. Or I can't remember. Or the type of dressing. Anyway, it's amazing. With French fries or pizza and whatever. I don't really even think about that. I'm going. It's over. Goodbye. I'm going. I'm not saying I do that every day. But if you did do it every day, you still could accept yourself. Because if you have unconditional acceptance, now mind you, you could have unconditional acceptance and be very unhealthy. That's a little bit different than the world of going, there's no such thing as health if you're very, very overweight and you're fine. No. You are unhealthy, have high blood pressure, high cholesterol. That doesn't mean anything about you as a person. It just means your behavioral patterns that got you there are not healthy. And you can change that as you actually go about getting healthier. And you can accept yourself the entire way. You can accept yourself if you look like this, AK moment, or if you look like this, like that. We're not saying we're not healthy and unhealthy. You can change these things, but it's the conditional acceptance of if I don't look like this, I'm a piece of shit. That's what we have to actually look at changing. And Rob really taught me a lot with that. And so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's what it felt like to be stuck inside my head. Everything was a mental maze. I felt like I was being called to NORAD, the nuclear base, and I had to put in a nuclear code or else the American, there's like some nuclear war. I mean, that's how it felt in my head. It felt that urgent. I have to look like this. I can't look like that. So thank you again. We will definitely be doing the body dysmorphia webinar. I am pumped about that. Contact fill slots are filled like crazy. We're booked out, I don't know, a couple months, but we still figure out ways because people cancel and, I get them in there and I make it work because that's the value I have. And I like working with OCD sufferers. It's one of the most pleasurable experiences in my life. I know you're thinking you're nuts. Why would you come back and do this? But it means a lot to me. We have those webinars 8:30 p.m. UK time on Tuesdays. Thank you again. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Any questions down below on what you think is a compulsion or avoidance, let me know. I always engage and we hope to see you soon. Have a good one, everyone.